And there's one other tidbit I wanted to add, which is you didn't want to be on camera at first. So at the beginning, it was me.
We don't need to go there.
With an iPhone and Windows Movie Maker. And that's how we started. And we started making videos. I grew out a mustache.
Welcome back to the Full Throttle Podcast, where we talk cars, chaos, and questionable life choices made at 100 miles an hour. I'm your host, Mickey Andrade, professional wrench spinner, serial Skyline project car addict, and the guy who's somehow turned bad choices into a career. Whether it's builds gone wrong, track day fails, or behind-the-scenes car beef, we're going to talk about it here on the Full Throttle Podcast, so buckle up, baby. It's about to get rowdy. All right, folks, I've got a special one for you today. He's the kind of guy who turned playing with cars in the garage into a full-blown empire. He's the co-founder of Throttle. That's Throttle with no time for all the vowels because this man moves fast. From planning turbocharged monsters to breaking the internet one YouTube video at a time, he's helped turn a parts platform and content channel into one of the biggest brands in the automotive world. And somehow he still has all his fingers, most of his sanity, and only a slight addiction to boost pressure. He's half entrepreneur, half car enthusiast, and probably 100% tired of people asking if their stock Mustang can beat his tuned M3. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the guy whose team made engine swaps look easy, and he's made business look so sexy. My great friend, Evan Beckerman.
Dude, that was awesome. Love the intro. Thank you. I'm humbled. I'm excited to be here. We've talked about doing a podcast for probably 5 years, maybe even longer. And I'm super excited that we're now doing it at HQ here and that you are our host. And I'm excited to be one of your first guests on here. We have a lot to talk about.
It's a long time coming, and I am shocked to tell you that I'm actually enjoying the heck out of this. I love this role, and I'm honored to have been chosen to do this and to bring sort of a behind-the-scenes look at Throttle and our industry partners and friends.
Absolutely.
From a different viewpoint.
There's a lot that happens here, I think, that you don't get to see, right?
A ton.
So I love it too. I'm excited. I'm enjoying listening to them, and I'm excited to be on here, and I'm excited to see what you came up with. I know you've been working on a lot of questions here.
Yeah,
so.
I got a couple pages worth of notes here, so we're gonna dig right in, dude.
Yeah,
there is one question that we get asked, whether it's DMs, whether it's at events, all the time, and I want to hear it straight from your mouth. Who came up with the name Throttle? And why is it spelled so strangely?
All right. This is a good one. And actually, the name for our business didn't start off as Throttle. It started off as Rev Match. That was the original concept, was a classifieds platform. And pretty early on, I want to say maybe a couple months into starting that, we realized that revmatch.com was taken and the trademark had already existed. Mm-hmm. So Rick, Errol, and I were kind of like, oh man, we need to come up with a new name. And I think Rick came up with the name Throttle, and we did this whole word exercise. He came up with it, and what we did is the word throttle.com was also taken. So we went on voice to text, and we started removing letters, but we still wanted it to phonetically sound like throttle. So we removed the E, and it still sounded like throttle. Then we removed the second L, still sound like Throttle. And we kept removing things and tried to make it as short as possible, and Throttle's what we landed on, and that also happened to be a URL that we could afford.
I still remember the day Rick called me and said, hey, we came up with Throttle. What do you think? And I was like, oh yeah, sounds cool. And he's like, but it's not spelled like you think. And he spelled it, and I was like, this was 2015, and apps were just becoming really popular. So it was very normal for apps.
The startup world,
it definitely was doing the vowel removal.
But if you didn't know what Throttle was the way that we spelled it at that time, especially when we didn't have a brand or anything, it became a challenge for sure.
Yeah.
To explain what we were.
Yeah, but it was a unique way to sort of make our mark in the segment.
Yeah.
With something that caught your eye because it didn't really make sense. What is this misspelled? What's going on?
And we still get that question today.
Yeah.
So, I think now it's a lot easier to explain, or because we've made so much content, or we've been around for almost 10 years now, which is exciting in itself.
Insane.
So yeah, it's hard to believe that was 10 years ago that we came up with that, but it stuck.
It feels like yesterday.
Yeah.
Honestly, 10 years just flies by.
It has.
So, second question: before Throttle took off, what was the lowest point in your career that made you think I might not make it, and how did you push through to the idea of Throttle, or what got you here?
Yeah, it's actually kind of funny. So my background's in mechanical engineering, went to school for mechanical engineering, drove across country without a job, just some interviews from upstate New York, and worked in microelectronics industry for quite a while.
That's quite a removal from cars.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, this was before I even worked in the industry. And I think this is also a story that a lot of people don't know is, so I was working in the microelectronics industry. I found out that HRE Wheels was located here in Vista. And I applied as I think a mechanical engineer, process engineer. I got the job, and that's where we met originally in like 2012 or so. Yep. I worked at HRE for kind of a short time, and I got a phone call from a previous boss from my first job, and he said, "Hey, I'm the president of this company. I need you to come and work for me." So I went back into the microelectronics electronics industry. Even though I didn't necessarily love the industry, I loved the role, and it was a big opportunity for me. So I took it, and I worked there for a couple of years. And the reason why we started Throttle is because I really started disliking what I was doing. I wasn't passionate about high temperature co-fired ceramics. It wasn't something
hard to believe.
Hard to believe. So. I've always been building cars and buying cars and selling cars and parts just kind of on the side. But the whole idea started at my bachelor party when I was there with Rick and Errol, who's my oldest friend since kindergarten. And we're all sitting around and just talking about cars. And we thought that there had to be a better way to buy stuff. Now, granted, this is when the forums were still booming and there was no Facebook Marketplace. So it was a different era. So if you're maybe like a little bit older, like me or like you, you get it. I don't know if younger guys would get it now. It was very hard to find stuff.
Well, this isn't a question I have on the sheet here, but maybe we should take a step back because I know we've covered this in other contents, but a lot of people that are watching the new podcast might not have heard the actual story of what was Throttle when it started and how it sort of got to where it is today, because it's quite a different business than when we started.
I mean, man, we had to pivot quite a bit. So the original idea for Throttle was a classifieds platform built for car enthusiasts where people could go list their parts and cars for sale on our platform, as well as access this really cool database where we combined all of the private party classified sections from all of the auto forums together. So consider it like kayak.com for car enthusiasts.
And that's where Errol sort of came in. A lot of you guys, even the massive fans of our channel, probably have no idea who Errol is, your best friend from kindergarten. He was sort of the brainiac behind the software side of that, which was basically
the platform,
finding the
website.
content on the forums and bringing it into Throttle in one location.
It was no easy task. I mean, that was a huge job. We had some other engineers involved as well. But figuring out how to get 250 sites to populate data on our platform on an hourly basis was a huge task. So we started off as this classifieds platform, and the short of it is we had a lot of people using it. It grew really fast, but we weren't making any money. So we had all these people. We weren't making any money. No one was paying anyone anything. We were not making a salary. It was nothing. It was tough times. It was figuring out what we had to do to survive.
True startup struggles.
100%.
Yeah, we went through it.
Yeah.
Dude, I still remember sitting on the leather couch at Rick's apartment in Encinitas or wherever, answering customer service calls.
I remember that when we kicked off our website, the e-commerce platform, kind of similar to as you guys know it today, where it's New Parts.
Yeah.
It was Rick, Mickey, and I answering all the live chats for days, for hours and hours on end, because we didn't have customer service.
Answering
a
question about what part fits this, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that was crazy, man.
Well, I think it's one of those things that, like, at that time, like, there was no other choice.
That's what needed to get done.
We had no other option. We didn't have a large team. It was literally us and Errol, I think, at that point, on the East Coast. And we had to do what we had to do to survive and to make it. And fast forward, call it 7-8 years from where we were, and now, like, I'm stoked.
Yeah, I mean, but I think a lot of people see what we look like today or how the business is today, and it's like, oh, that came easy. But it really didn't come easy.
It's funny too, because content wasn't even part of the equation until about 2017.
Right. And if you guys want to know more about that, check out the Full Throttle podcast with TJ Hunt.
Yeah, that's a good,
because he gives
a good intro to it. And just to touch on that briefly, we had like Instagram and Facebook, but it wasn't until we got introduced to TJ and kind of the whole crew, that we realized, hey, we need to start filming. And there's one other tidbit I wanted to add, which is you didn't want to be on camera at first. So at the beginning, it was me.
We don't need to go there.
With an iPhone and Windows Movie Maker. And that's how we started. And we started making videos. I grew out a mustache.
Stash for subs.
Stash for subs to hit 5,000 subscribers. So if you're an OG, comment down below, because I love meeting people who have been with us since the beginning. It means a ton. It obviously means a lot if you've joined along the way.
Yeah.
But that's the origins. I mean, you've seen the progression. We've come a long way for sure.
That's an understatement. So that leads me to the next question, Ev. Is there ever a job or a hustle that you did before Throttle that people would be shocked to know about now? Like, were you ever like a gigolo or anything like that?
No, never took that up. Not really. I mean, I think, and I think Rick could also attest to this as well. Like, Rick and I were always trying to build businesses from, buying candy at the 7-Eleven and then bringing it back to the neighborhood and trying to sell candy to the neighborhood kids.
That markup.
I mean, we would bike, miles away and spend $5 on candy. So, that was the start, to mowing lawns and all the normal stuff, I would say. But really the biggest thing that I did from high school until Throttle was buying cars, buying parts, parting them out, selling, trading, and that kind of stuff.
To take a step back, that's kind of where the idea of Throttle came from, because you and Rick were buying a lot of parts. Rick was buying Porsche parts. You were probably buying BMW parts off the forums, and you were looking for an easier way to find them and move them, essentially. So
100%. I mean, that's ultimately the original platform was built on that. Yeah. And then, like we said, it's pivoted.
The true spirit of entrepreneurship, honestly.
Yeah, I think so.
All right. Did you ever think, you know what? Forget about cars. I should have just sold crypto and done way less labor.
Every day. Now, I mean, look, you see the stories, and I think it's easy you see the success stories online, and I think it's easy to be like, oh man, I wish I had done that. In fact, I have some friends who got into it very early, and they, positioned me to, hey, you should totally buy some Bitcoin. And it was at $1,500 a piece. And this was start of Throttle, so maybe like 2016, something like that.
Every dollar was going into this business.
I had no money.
Yeah.
I wish I did. In hindsight.
I remember having those conversations right here in this front office. Like, oh man, I should buy some Bitcoin.
Yeah. Hindsight's 2020. It's a tough pill to swallow, but I think it gets really romanticized online. Like, you see these people, I spent $200, and then they're on a yacht.
They're billionaires,
and
somehow
that percentage of people is so low. What more people do is they put money in and then they lose because they don't know how to trade it or they don't understand. Just like me, I know enough to be dangerous, but I'm not huge into that.
Yeah, I think I put myself in the same category. Well, Ev, you mentioned that you launched Throttle with Rick, Errol, and myself, but I got to ask, was there ever a moment where it sort of nearly all fell apart? And if so, what did you or what did the team do to kind of get the business back on track to sort of keep it afloat and get it to where it is today?
Yeah, I mean, man, probably more times than I can think of. There's been a lot of pivots. And I think that's really important to try to be as flexible as you can. You might go into an idea thinking that this is the answer, this is how you solve it, and it doesn't work. So, towards the very beginning there, when we were a classifieds platform, we had built all this technology around classifieds, but we weren't making enough money to survive or to even pay each other anything really substantial to survive. So at that point, we had spent a long time, a lot of development efforts on making this platform, and we had to do like a whole 180 shift because people would hit us up on live chat and an email saying, hey, I'm not looking for used exhaust or used wheels. I want to buy new stuff. And that's when kind of the light bulb switched off as to, hey, we should offer selling new parts on the platform, and we can become an e-commerce retailer instead of a classifieds platform. That was a big shift. I mean, think about, you spend a year or two, maybe even more, tons of hours, and then you have to rewrite the entire business.
Which is scary too, because man, there was already other players in the scene.
100%.
So you're basically prepared to go battle with big entities that are already out there.
But the alternative is you keep going down this path, which sure, it might be okay at times, but it was not on a trajectory that we knew we needed to get to or that we wanted to be a part of. Like we wanted to be going up so we could hire more people and grow the brand, not dwindle away. But
Right.
it's hard. It's a tough pill to swallow. You know, we all thought that the classifieds were the answer, but as the forums started dying, as Facebook started popping up, the Facebook marketplace groups, you know, those started to get really a lot more popular, and we had to shift. We had to change, and thankfully we did, because I don't think we'd be here.
Yeah, I mean, the changes were integral in the business and how it's positioned today. And that leads me to the next question, which is, at what point in the project, I mean, I know I have a different answer than you probably will. At what point in the project did you realize that this was a movement? Like, this is something that's actually going to pop?
Honestly, when we started posting consistently on YouTube, that's when it first really felt like a community that we were like interacting with. And I felt like there was support and there was more than just us. You know, up until that point, you know, it was pretty much us three. We're going to pizza shops, we're going to coffee shops and things like that. But when we started posting content and long form content specifically, and we started putting our faces on camera and people started commenting and engaging, and like, that is when I felt like the power of car enthusiasts of our era, like kind of coming together and like supporting us. That was the pivotal moment. And that's, I think, what led to us like doubling down, being able to get Ricky on board, you know, when we probably couldn't afford him at the time, but, you know, we tried to stretch to invest into content creation, you know, getting an editor, you know, bringing on more people to support the content vision. I think that's really when things took the step in the next direction, you know?
Yeah, I can agree with that. I mean, it's sort of, once Ricky came on, the trajectory kind of changed quite a bit because we were able to kick out more work, and it added some character to the channel. And
it was like the more we built and the cooler stuff we built, the more reward we got at that time. So at one point, we were talking about this earlier or the other day, when you got the bad apple, and it was pretty much, I think it was just us two at the time. You were working on the car, I was working on the car. We would both film. I would edit. We'd publish a video. Then we'd go back to work, keep working on the car, and we were doing 2 a days.
There were days where we were filming 2 full videos in a day.
Every day. I mean, we were almost daily vlogging as it is, and then some days were 2 days.
And we would never think to do that today.
No, I mean, it's
doesn't
crazy.
make sense.
So we documented everything, and it seemed like the more we posted, the faster we grew, and that's what snowballed into, you know, this.
Yeah, and growing.
Yeah.
So people see Throttle's builds and the success that Throttle's built on YouTube today, but what happened behind the scenes, or some sacrifices that were made that nobody really knows about? Is there anything that stands out to you that was like, I did this, or we did this, we didn't make it public, but it had to happen in order for us to sort of take the next step? Or maybe it didn't, maybe nothing, but...
Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting question. I think, you know, first and foremost, I feel like we've been pretty transparent with the builds and what happens here. You know, as an example, you know, we repainted the Ferrari, you know, things like that caused a ton of turmoil. But I can't think of something that, no, I don't know. I don't know if I can answer that question. I can't think of something that was really sacrificed, like in terms of, you know, quality or what we're doing here. I think that like we've always been really honest with, you know, how we handle the sweepstakes and how we handle the parts business. So I can't think of anything that's like, I don't know.
Okay. That's a fair answer. Nothing really stands out to me there. I just thought it was an interesting question. Because we all have sort of a different view of how everything came about. So there are ever days when you wake up and you're like, wait a minute, did we just build a business where we wrench on cars, make YouTube videos, and sell merchandise every day?
Dude, it's crazy. I mean, I was talking to someone who's not a car enthusiast the other day.
Oh, don't go there, because I have a question about that. No, go ahead.
Well, I'm going to go there, and I bet it's not the same. So I was talking to a guy who likes cars, and he's like, oh, what do you think of this car? And I'm like, oh, well, we bought one and built one. What do you think of this car? Oh, yeah, we did one of those too. Oh, what do you think of the Toyota Supra? Those things were so cool. Oh, yeah, we got one. It's 1,100 horsepower. So it's one of those things that we're so close to it now, Mickey. It's like We look at that every day. I remember being 15, 16 and going to Fast and the Furious, and like, it was like such a pie in the sky.
Yep.
And like, I get here and I have to like pinch myself because every car that we have imagined in our childhood is here pretty much. In fact, there's some other ones that they don't know about just yet that are part of that list that they will find out very soon.
There's some really special automobiles in the shop next door that you guys are going to find out soon.
There's 4. There's 4 projects right now. And I don't think we've ever had that many projects that are secretive or undercover or whatever you want to call it. But the way that we do things now just requires a lot of planning and rollout and all that. And I'm so excited. Like, it's crazy to think what we have under wraps right now.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And man, like, just to sort of pivot a little bit away, like I asked about like Wake Up, YouTube merch, the merch thing. Man, it has gone nuts.
Merch is cool, man. I get so excited like when I'm out at a car show or an event and I just see Throttle stuff in the background.
It's
amazing. Not even a Throttle event, if I just see it. It's just a really cool thing because I remember, dude, at the beginning when we first went to Formula D in Long Beach for the first time, and we were going to cars and putting our business card in a sticker, and we couldn't give away 500 stickers. So to think that, you know, people are spending their hard-earned money on Throttle merch and they're repping the brand, and we have Shelby has a tattoo.
I know.
The Throttle
That's
logo,
insane.
Which is like, I mean, it's crazy.
I don't even have that.
It's just crazy. It's super humbling. I love seeing it. I can't wait. You know, we're trying to drop as much cool stuff as we can so we get more and more stuff out there. Like, it's just the coolest thing.
It really is, man.
Yeah.
So one of the weird things about the startup world is that a lot of the people that start businesses don't remain friends for long. That's one thing that we've done well, the 4 of us, including also the guys that work here.
Yeah.
We had a little bit of a tumultuous last 3 years. But because of the strength of this business and this team, we didn't lose a single employee during that time.
Yeah.
And I think personally that speaks to the brand that we've built and the character of the people leading the brand and the character of the people in the building. What I'm getting at here is who is the most likely of the 4 of us, founding people of the group, to crash a build or ghost each other in the group chat?
All right, crash or build. I'm going to give that one up to my brother, Rick.
Okay.
Maybe not crash like a full crash. I don't want that to happen. But Rick's a master of curbing wheels. And one time I did see Rick back his Integra up without even looking in the rearview mirror and just smashing into another car. So we'll leave it there. I think you're probably pretty solid there. The ghosting of the group chat, I'm terrible at group chats.
Yourself,
I'm terrible.
then.
Yeah, me. I'm gonna out myself. I don't know. I'm better face to face, but I'm not good responding usually.
I'd say that's pretty accurate. I do. You mentioning Rick backing up the Integra reminded me of the maroon Porsche that you guys bought when we first met.
Yeah, that was another one. You're right.
Written off.
That was a write off. That's for sure.
Oh man, that's so rough. I still think about that to this day. All right, buddy. Well, if Throttle 2.0 existed 5 years from now, what would it look like?
Ooh, that's a great question. I think that, for one, people will always want to tinker and modify their cars. I think that not only are there the older folks who have been doing that for a long time, but I think that younger generation will always want to modify stuff. People just want to personalize things. So I think that the e-commerce world, there will always be aftermarket parts and ways to make your car unique.
Yep.
And I think on the content side, I think it's even going to grow much, much bigger. So, if I were to think about, you said 5 years in the future or 10?
Yeah, 5 years in the future, what would Throttle 2.0 look like?
What I think the future of Throttle is expanding in all ways, meaning continuing the build channel that we've really developed, which is, we build cars and trucks. We try to make them cooler, faster, sound better, whatever it is. But I also think that growing in this space, like podcast or storytelling or, things outside of just car builds, that's the future for our brand. news. We don't do anything with brand new cars that come out. There's whole segments on, auto journalism and things like that I think that we have a unique take on things because, how many cars have you built, Mickey? Like if you were to just sum it up, how many cars have you touched, different cars? So I'm putting you on the spot now.
It's hundreds.
Hundreds.
Yeah, easily.
So think about that. Like the only other
knowing
people,
we've done 50 plus here.
at least 50. Probably
more.
Probably like 80 or 90. But
So hundreds, yeah.
So the only people who touch or build more cars than us are full-time mechanics.
Yeah.
And race
But they're not touching cars in the way that we do. They're changing water pumps.
Sure.
Putting in refrigerant AC systems.
Yeah. And also like there's a wide variety, right? We've done everything from a ice cream truck to Ferraris to et cetera. So I think we have a unique perspective on that angle of the car industry. And I think there's a lot more. I mean, I think there's a lot more expansion that we can do. So I'm excited. I think this is kind of the first step in that direction of something that we've never done before. And, I want to hear from everyone's watching right now. Like, what do you think? What can we do better? That's been the name of the game since we started is pivoting, getting better at what we do. I'll be the first to admit, like, we're not the best.
Yeah.
There's things that we can learn all the time. So we want to hear it. And, including you guys, the community who supported us this far in the equation is like, that's what I want to do. Cause
it's so important to listen to the audience and
100%.
Make those changes where needed. But that answer is a perfect segue into the next question. It's definitely something we've tackled already, but do you think that Throttle ever built another EV project, or is that a thing of the past? Because the landscape of car tuning has changed quite a bit. We jumped on it pretty early with the 350 EV.
Yeah. So for those who don't know, we got the bright idea to do a Tesla power plant conversion on a 2006, I think, or 3. We got the idea to put the Tesla power plant into a 350Z.
It's sort of a modern day hot rod, so to speak, right?
It was a big project. You were the lead on that project. It was a lot of work, like, to say the least. And I think that there are people making strides to make it simpler, like Ryan from Rywire. Like, there's a lot of really cool things that are happening. Do I think we will tackle another EV conversion? Not in the near future. I think we'll let Ryan and the experts, like Will, make it a little bit more palatable. And at some point, I think we could do it. I mean, you can't argue with the performance. You cannot argue with the straight line speed and the performance. That 350Z was fast.
Yeah, it's fast. And, Ryan has done a really good job of creating a package for the Civics that's actually a bolt-in affair for the most part. So he could sell a kit.
Yeah, it's
cool. And you can also put the internal combustion engine back in.
Ah, interesting. Yeah,
which is very cool. And our friend Will's over there building some really cool hot rods as well out of EV parts. So,
but I will say this real quick. I think we should do a Tesla build. Like, we've never done a Model S or
proper full car Tesla, not pieces, parts,
not a conversion.
Put into something else.
I think that would be pretty cool. I mean, obviously, you see them everywhere. I think we could make one with Throttle style, and I think it would be pretty cool. Granted, we can't make it sound good, but we could put a pretty cool audio system in it, like Ricky did.
I'll let Ricky build a Chichero for it. That'd be our Chichero mobile.
That's coming soon. We have some crazy ideas.
Yeah, I love it. All right, man. Well, if you had a blank check and no limits, what's the Throttle project build that you would greenlight immediately? Like something that you're striving for, and somebody says, Ev, here's $10 million. Let's get this done.
Man. That's a tough one. I mean, I think the easy answer is going up the food chain in terms of more expensive, higher end, Pagani, Bugatti, something that's crashed or something like that. That I think we can get to that's attainable. Yeah. Doing something like an F1 car or a actual race car and redoing that with Throttle style, I think that would be something that would be like a, oh my God type thing.
Yeah, it's a good answer. I honestly don't have a good answer for that question. Yeah.
I have a lot of answers there because I have another idea, which is like going wild in, like, we did the ice cream truck, but think about like what the ice cream truck could be on steroids.
I already know where you're going with this. But we're not going to let that cat out of the bag.
Not yet. Not yet.
All right. Well, this is a little bit not car related, but definitely a question I wanted to ask you because you've been through, just in the time I've known you, quite a few job changes and life changes. What's the one piece of advice for 18-year-old Evan that would have saved you a lot of stress and hassle that you know now?
And a lot of gray hair.
No, not as much as I got.
Yeah. It's a hard question because like if I knew what I know now, I wouldn't have had to go through all that, and I don't think I would have learned as much. But if I could save myself some time and some anguish, I think stress. Oh, that's actually a great one. I think that being even more willing to swallow your pride and go a different direction, like, hey, this is not right. We need to do something different. It's hard. I mean, you can work on something.
You're passionate.
Yeah, you super passionate. You're working on something for so long, but if you were wrong, you were wrong.
Yeah,
and
you have to take the blinders off and just do the pivot.
And that's a tough thing to do.
It's tough for everyone.
Yeah. So yeah, I think being willing, being a little more open-minded about things, would definitely have saved a lot of stress or continue to save. That's not something in the past. I think it's still going on now.
Great answer.
Yeah.
So let's be honest. How many of your early car builds, mainly before Throttle started, I guess is a good benchmark, but how much of them were just sketchy Craigslist cars that were held together by hope and zip tape? Zip ties. How many of them were held together by hope and zip ties?
Quite a bit. I think it wasn't until working with you and some of the other guys here that there's a right way to do it, and then there's 50 wrong ways to do something on a car. And usually, if you do a couple sketchy jobs, you end up having to redo everything, and you could have done it the right way at the first spot.
Slope.
But I mean, I've always bought really terrible cars because there's always the most opportunity there. Mm-hmm. So even my E36, which I bought kind of right before we started Throttle, bought that car was like $2,000. E36 M3, blown head gasket. Paint was destroyed.
You can't find them that cheap nowadays.
You can't. But
even in that condition,
I know it's hard. I mean, it's hard to find a cheap car just in general now. But I've always found that those types of owners who didn't care for their cars, it's sitting on the side of the road, they're willing to make a good deal because they just want it gone. And that's probably why you see most of the cars we buy on Throttle look kind of like that, because you find a good deal, there's more upside. It allows us to, let's say, spend more money on parts and rehab and make it really cool. Like, you can go out and get a really nice example of a car, but like, do you really want to cut that up, or do you want to cut something up that's kind of junkier? That's why the Ferrari behind you.
We struggle with that pretty often.
Yeah, I mean, so that's why I buy junkers, so that we can cut them up and do whatever we want to them.
That sounds like an excuse to me.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, what's the most embarrassing mod you've ever put on a car? And don't lie, because the internet definitely remembers everything.
Oh, man. I got to go back and see what's been published.
I can think of a couple things you've done on camera.
I want to hear from you, because I want to hear that first, because I got to think of what else I've done while you answer that. What's a mod that...
the toothpaste headlight polish.
Oh, so that was a video.
That wasn't a mod, but there was a video.
So at the beginning of our YouTube channel, and honestly, even still to this day, to get inspiration for videos, I go on YouTube and I say, what's been working? And I went to Chris Fix, and he did a video on how to restore headlights with toothpaste. And it did 10 million views or something.
Crazy.
And I watched it and I'm like, I could do that. So I literally just tried to remake his video, and it actually did pretty good. Although it didn't really work that good.
Yep.
They have way better things to polish headlights.
Actual products.
Yeah.
But I guess the question was about mods. But
I got it.
That was the one thing that came into my mind that was kind of like quirky.
Yeah. All right. I just thought of it. My first car was a 1995 Honda Prelude VTEC. Love that car. Had some really cool JDM parts on it that came with it. And I was like, I want to continue that theme. It had JDM headlights and a bunch of other things. So I decided to buy a head unit from Japan with the flip out screen.
Oh, I can't
remember the name of the brand.
Carrozzeria?
No, it's not that one, because that's... because I couldn't afford like a cool Alpine one that they had here.
Yeah.
And I bought this thing, I don't know, eBay or something, and it showed up, and I didn't know that I couldn't get any audio to come out. But
The radio channels only go up to like 89.1 or something like that. So you can't get any of the AM, FM here.
I don't even know if this was late enough that I had an aux cable or whatever, but all I know is I just didn't have audio.
Well, hey, but you got style points. You got them JDM,
I had style
JDM
points,
head
the
unit
screen
points,
moved, but it didn't play any audio. And you know what's funny is like even to this day, something that not a lot of people know about me is I really don't listen to music in my cars.
Dang it.
Was that a question you had? But maybe it started with that because I drove around in the Prelude. Like,
no music
for a long time.
That's where you and I differ. I have to have music on
all the time.
Always,
Yeah, I sit in silence. I use the phone. It's kind of a quiet time for me.
It drives me crazy to not have music on. And that's one of the things that's really been hard for me in the YouTube space is filming every day.
Yeah.
Because I like to listen to music when I work because it keeps you motivated and upbeat.
A lot of people may not know that you can't use that music because it's all copyrighted.
It triggers copyright. Yeah.
So the risk is that if Mickey's filming something and the music is going on, then we go to publish the video and we either get a copyright strike or we get a flag or it removes all the revenue from the video, which is also not a great thing.
Not good.
So it's always, we have Alexis here.
I've had a few stern talking tos about that.
Hey,
dude,
we're
turn
just
the music
yelling
off.
at Alexa all the time over here.
All right. So when was the last time you attended a car event that wasn't a Cars and Coffee? And what did you think of the car scene?
That's a good question, too, because I really do enjoy Cars and Coffee. That's like the most fun that I have. We went to FD Long Beach. That was probably the biggest event that I've gone to. I was actually very pleasantly surprised with how well it was attended, how busy it was, how engaged people were. People were rocking, their favorite creators and lots of merch. And, it wasn't just about the race teams, I thought. It was just about car culture. And there was just a lot of people there. So I was really excited to see that. Obviously COVID kind of impacted, I think, the event space quite a bit. But, I was stoked to be there. I was blown away with how many people were there to support.
And the quality of cars in the paddock was really good too. It was pretty high and
everything
very on
now
trend
I just feel like is elevated. Now you can go to some car meets and there's a lot of memes there of people that don't build anything that put stickers on or whatever. But I don't know. I feel like in general everything is so accessible. Parts are so accessible now. The information of how to install everything is way easier. I think way more readily available. So. It wasn't that easy, I think, 10 years ago on YouTube. You could search and you may not find what you're looking for.
Yeah, there's a lot of people, I think, that are actually more creative because of what they see on social media. So it sort of forces you to think a little bit outside the box. Oh, well, that's already been done, so I'm going to put this spin on it because I saw this on Instagram or whatever.
Yeah, 100%.
Which has elevated the level of builds, I think, depending on execution.
Now, we're here in San Diego, so I don't know about other parts of the world. Although I will say that when we were in Connecticut with Jimmy Oakes and their whole crew, there were some nice cars that showed up to that event.
Man, there really was.
So I don't know. Maybe it's just everywhere now.
Yeah, possible. This is a tough one for me, Ev, because I've spent a lot of late nights here. But how many Throttle cars were finished the night before a reveal, and do you feel like it's worth it?
I'll answer the latter. Yes, absolutely, it's worth it. That's one testament, I think, to you and Mickey, you and Ricky and Quinn is like everyone here, including Nate and Sean and Victor. The whole team is willing to put in the time to get things done and to display it to the world in the best way that we know how. Everyone, I think, shares in the same passion of building the coolest things that we know how and making the coolest content that we know how. And I'm stoked and I'm super thankful that we have the group of guys that we have here.
Yeah, we're very fortunate.
So yes, it is worth it. How many of them are finished the night before? A lot of them. It's something that this year we're really putting a lot of emphasis to try not to do that. Just because I think if you have more time and you plan better, we can even produce better things.
Yeah, I think we can. I mean, that's one thing I feel like in the last year we've gotten much better at. And parts are here on time. We're not waiting for things usually. And in the past, it was just willy-nilly. Like waiting on something to get here, so things get
It was
postponed
a lot more run and gun, man.
A lot less people in the building to get things done. So
yeah,
just
it takes an army.
Evolution of the business.
100%. I mean, at the beginning, it was you and I, and like I said, it was run and gun. We'd pick up a camera, and whatever we finished that day was the episode.
What parts can we afford to buy right now?
Now it may take us 8 weeks before we even start. 8 weeks of planning. So it's a different world, but it's a different world on YouTube now. And if we had kept doing what we were doing 7 years ago, we wouldn't be here.
Right. Yeah. That was one thing that a question I asked TJ on the first podcast was, what kills content creators? And essentially that was his answer was
stagnation,
the inability to change your model, essentially.
Yeah. I mean,
it's too stubborn to pivot.
I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yeah, I do too. All right, man. Well, let's settle this. Are throttle builds more about horsepower and looks or YouTube thumbnail potential?
It's a good question. I'm gonna touch on one thing even before that, which is, we do live in California, and the cars that are street cars here have to be compliant, and sometimes that's a tough pill to swallow. But that's just the way of the world now, and we are a small business, and we're not going to go up against the government of California, unfortunately. So things that are race cars and are a little bit more fair game. But it's a combination. So we obviously have to take thumbnails, titles, things into consideration because that's what drives the business. Title and thumbnail is so important. If you're a creator and you're listening to this or watching this, title and thumbnail is so important. Don't ever underestimate that. And you would be a fool if you didn't take that into consideration when making content or trying to make it your business or your source of income.
So both of those things are equally as important.
They're both
as well as the content.
Yeah,
that's made by that vehicle.
No one wants to watch something that's boring, right? But not everything needs to be about speed, I think, to be cool. So, in fact, some of our best performing videos, we did 0 performance mods, which is maybe surprising because I think in our hearts, we're always, we're all into that and loud and whatever. But I think we could do a Tesla Model 3 that does a lot of views and does well, and it wouldn't sound like anything.
Right.
So yeah, equally as important. Crazy. Both of them are both important.
Okay. That's a good answer. So this is going to be a 2-pronged question. It's really one question, but I want you to answer it from 2 seats. And it's what's the most have you spent on a mod and was it worth it? So you personally is the one prong. The other prong is Throttle. What's the most Throttle has spent on a mod and was it worth it?
All right. For me,
if you can say, because I think I know the Throttle answer.
Yeah, I'll get to that. So personally, I think it's probably wheels. I don't know. I've always loved high-end wheels, forged wheels, and they aren't cheap.
Yeah.
So you kind of get what you pay for, and you get the name brand associated with that. So, thousands of dollars on wheels several times.
But those arguably change the whole feel of a vehicle build.
I mean, you can lower a car and put wheels on it, and it looks like a different car.
Your E36 M3 has changed
many times,
and it has always come out to be a completely different look because of the wheel change.
Yeah, 100%.
That's a good answer.
And the other thing is wheels hold their value as long as you don't destroy them. So
don't let Rick drive your car.
Yeah. It's maybe not an investment, but it's not the worst investment. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So as far as Throttle goes, the most expensive wire transfer that we have sent out ever that was not the car is for our SEMA build, one of our SEMA builds this year. And it's the biggest project we've ever taken on. Definitely a big gulp moment when you're like, okay, that was very expensive. It is carbon fiber, and that is probably all that I'm going to say.
That's all we can say.
But it is so rad. I mean, would you agree that's probably the coolest thing that we've bought in the last 10 years?
There's been some really cool things come through these doors, but I think from just an overall car build standpoint, it is going to completely change the car.
Yeah.
From what it started as to what it's going to end up with, and it's all encompassing. It's not just one component.
Yeah.
Which is so cool.
Yeah.
So it's definitely an ambitious project.
And you guys will, I hate to like, what do you call it? Blue ball everyone, but I we can't reveal
can
it
you
just
say
yet.
that?
I just did. It'll be worth it. We'll make it. It'll be worth it for everyone to see it, and it's just a few weeks away, so it'll be awesome and really special. I'm excited.
A few weeks now. I'm scared.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, I've heard from a lot of our fans and the audience out there at events that the throttle builds are so clean that it's almost suspicious that they come out of our garage. What's the secret to the tidy cars that we build here at our shop?
I think there's a couple things. I think the biggest thing is planning. I think that's something that before Throttle, and even honestly before the last maybe 2 years, I had a different approach to how we would tackle a project. Now, we don't start until we have everything. And I mean everything, to the lug nuts, to the bolts, to the Downstar hardware. Everything that we think we might need, we get ahead of time, and we inspect the car, and we try to do all of the legwork up front, because when we have it, that's what kills a build, or that's what takes
the weight.
That's what takes time.
I think that's one thing about the throttle builds that most people don't know.
Yeah. And if you think about it, and like I think about building my E36 or any car that I built, you have a Saturday, you're like, I'm going to work on my car today. And you're like, all right, I got to do this, this, and this. And you get there, and 5 minutes in, you're like, oh, I got to go to the hardware store. Okay, you go to the hardware store, you come back, you break a bolt. Oh, shoot, I got to go to Advanced Auto Parts. Oh, okay, cool. I go there, come home. I'm going to have lunch, work on the car a little bit more. It's the end of the day.
Oh, I don't have this tool.
Yeah. If we did that right now on YouTube, we would never make a video. And
it was a little bit that way in the beginning.
100%.
Yeah.
That's kind of how everyone
That's
did
how it
it,
started.
I feel like.
Yeah.
And it definitely feels like the landscape has changed, and I want to be at the forefront of that. So, we try to do as much legwork as we can. Sometimes things don't happen great. I see a lot of creators who post like, it's not easy, and it isn't easy. 100%. It's not easy to build a car, but you have to expect the unexpected, and you have to plan to the best of your ability and really think about the details. And if you have everything and it's sitting on a cart right in front of you, man, you guys are super fast now, proficient with everything. Between you, Ricky, and Quinn, a whole car can be blown apart in a day. Mm-hmm. Think about how long that would have taken if you were by yourself.
One person, yeah.
Weeks, right?
We've gotten exponentially better and faster.
So that was the first side of the question. The other side was, I think, choosing the right partners and people to support you. So the right paint shops, the right shops to build the wheels, the right interior people, the right engine builders or the right tuners. We've tried to bring as much stuff in-house as humanly possible. We pretty much do everything here minus paint right now. That even is something that I'm looking into, because the more stuff we can bring in-house, the more we can control the timelines, and we'll be able to make faster cars and better cars.
Yeah, I mean, we've got a pretty good arrangement with the paint shop up the road, which is nice because it's
in several paint shops.
Yeah,
right
by up the road. I mean, within a few miles.
Sure,
they've all been good with us. But you're right, timeline is so important to these builds, and the minute it gets skewed, all the hard work you put in up front kind of gets thrown out the window.
Yeah, and look, it happens.
Yeah, it happens with every step sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes it's one step forward, 2 steps back, and you got to roll with it. And, shit happens, and, you can only plan for as much as you can plan for. But a lot of times, it works out.
Yeah. We've made it work out.
Yeah.
Majority of the time. All right, Ev, so let's have some fun. I've got about 10 questions left, and these are a little bit less businessy and a little more just about Evan and maybe who you are outside of Throttle. So if we opened up your Spotify right now, Ev, what's playing? And don't lie. If it's Taylor Swift, just own it, brother.
There's probably nothing in there. So I actually just got Spotify. I got Spotify, no joke.
Because of the podcast?
No. Available on Spotify. No, within the last 2 months, I got Spotify.
Oh my God.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
I had Pandora
Oh
for
my
a while.
gosh.
But the free version, like not even in whatever. So
I'm not surprised by this at all.
so what's in my Spotify is just old music. Really.
Is this like from college? Or,
Yeah.
the
It's
stuff
like
that you listened to back when you were super
Nas,
happy and
yeah.
partying with your friends?
Yeah. I mean, there's some Disclosure, there's Nas, there's I don't know, Incubus. It's all over the place.
I can get with all that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Probably pretty similar. I've been using Spotify for years and years and years. So mine's
So you have a
pretty deep,
mature
but-
station? Isn't that
Yeah,
what they
it's
call
pretty mature.
Mature station. Yeah, mine is not
I guess
mature.
you could call it that. All right. Well, what's the worst part about running a car brand with YouTube fans? Is it the 12-year-olds in the comment section who think their uncle's Civic could gap your M3, or?
No, I encourage that. That doesn't frustrate me. And honestly, like I feel like I've grown a pretty thick skin from a comment perspective. I think that when people go personal, that's when it kind of frustrates me. It's like that has nothing to do with what we just posted about, about something someone's wearing or what someone said, whatever. I don't know. That stuff maybe irks me a little bit, but ultimately I do kind of just let it go.
You get really thick skin is the best way to put it. You almost have to, huh?
I just feel like some of those people like are in really bad places. So like I don't envy them. I don't want to give them the time of day. I'll delete comments every now and then if it's just like a very hateful or like discriminatory thing. But ultimately, like they're in a worse place. I feel bad for them. And I think that just moving on and just not acknowledging anything like that is probably the right move.
Yeah.
But
All right. Well, are you the kind of guy who unwinds with a hike, a book, or do you just black out on the couch and watch YouTube fails like Ricky?
Well, now I like to play pickleball. That's like my thing I do on the weekend. So whenever I have free time, hang out with Penelope, my daughter, and my wife, Chelsea, and hang out with family. But yeah, I mean, who doesn't love like a terrible TV show just to unwind at the end of the day? For sure. Mindless TV is kind of nice. I do consume a decent amount of YouTube. I primarily watch YouTube creators who I envy and inspire to be like.
Gotcha. That's cool because it's not then senseless time. It's you're actually learning something or taking something away from it.
I feel like if
just
you like
turning your brain off.
I feel like if you consume what you want to be, like it's almost like an inherent thing that you're like, oh, they do it this way. When I watch some of the creators who are just amazing, you're like, oh man, we could incorporate that, but not like I'm taking notes, if that makes sense. Like not, it's like subconsciously maybe.
Paying attention.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's say you do have that full weekend off, no cars, no throttle. What are you doing that would surprise the audience? I mean, you said pickleball, but is there anything else in your life that's like people wouldn't expect? Do you like to go to Chuck E. Cheese or?
I do find myself at Chuck E. Cheese pretty often.
That's not you though.
Not for me. You know what's funny is recently I started working on my cars and like not filming it. And like cleaning my cars and not really filming or like just doing it for me or driving, even just going out for a drive. I think that's maybe one thing that people see that we're around these cool cars all the time. And there are times where it is a job as well as our career and our passion, but there are times where it's nice to not make it feel like that, where it's just like, hey, I'm just spending some time cleaning my car.
I feel that.
Yeah.
I feel that. I don't think that's going to surprise anyone.
No.
But
what would surprise anyone? Man, to be honest, I guess besides those things I mentioned,
pickleball.
There's not a lot of other free time besides pickleball. I'll play pickleball as much as I can.
That's good. I mean, it keeps you fit and gets you out of the house a bit and running around.
Yeah.
As long as you don't break your ankles or
always good
throw
to
out
break
your
a
shoulder.
sweat. Yeah, that is true. Cross my fingers.
So after a brutal day at Throttle, what's your comfort meal? Do you just hit DoorDash and cry into a plate of carne asada fries, or
man,
what's your guilty pleasure?
Man, I like all food. I guess that food is another thing I'm pretty passionate about. I enjoy cooking, but I also enjoy eating Thai food. Good burger,
Thai.
Mexican. Yeah, Thai food is definitely one of my favorites. I like it all. I would say I'm not the least pickiest person when it comes to food, but I enjoy so many different types of food. So I'm always down to try everything but balut. You know what balut is? The Filipino.
I'm not sure I want to know. It doesn't sound very appetizing.
Victor's behind the camera laughing. Balut is like a half-born chicken egg.
What?
It's like a Filipino delicacy.
They eat that.
They eat it, yeah. So I've never tried it, but I've been offered it several times.
I'm out on the
balut. I pass on that, but apparently it's pretty good. I don't know.
Yeah, I'd have to not know what it was, I think.
Oh, when there's a beak in there, you know.
Oh, man. Come on. Yeah, I couldn't do that. So what's one thing in your daily routine that has nothing to do with cars or our business that's like some weird hobby, guilty pleasure, or Zen habit? This is sort of an extension of the last two questions, but
yeah,
I feel like there's so much more to Evan than what people see on camera.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's more than pickleball and watching YouTube videos. So.
Yeah, not that much more.
I think the one thing you touched on it, you like to cook.
Yeah, I like to cook.
You usually do videos, but you haven't done one in
I know.
ages.
I used to do a live stream called Coffee with Beckerman. Yeah, and I used to live stream cooking quite a bit on my Instagram, but I haven't in a while. The other thing that like I've been really getting into, I would say the last year or two, is just like health related stuff. So I got a sauna. I'm trying to eat healthier. I lost probably like 25 to 30 pounds. If you go back to like the COVID times, I was considerably heavier. So I feel much better. It's kind of part of the pickleball thing. I'm just trying to be the healthiest version of myself.
Stay active, eat well.
Yeah, stay active, eat well. The sauna has been like a game changer. I highly recommend it.
Absolutely.
I didn't know I could sweat that much in a short amount of time, but you feel super...
Are you doing like the full red light treatment and all that stuff?
Yeah.
I need to start doing that.
Yes. So, yeah, besides that, I mean, hanging out with family, man, that's pretty much
it's so important.
My jam.
So, when you're at home, are you a clean freak or are you sort of a tornado in your personal life?
Ooh.
Like, is your house
it depends
like
on who
Throttle
you ask.
build level tidy or is it like a chaotic garage vibe?
Our house is very clean. I don't know if my wife would agree with this. I'd say I'm pretty clean. My wife is another level of clean.
I think that goes for both of us.
Yeah. Courtney is very clean as well. So Chelsea is very organized, and the joke is that if it's left out, it might disappear because she might just throw it away. So
I haven't gotten to that level with Courtney yet.
So yeah, Chelsea's very tidy, very organized, very clean. I'm pretty clean.
Yeah. From a guy's standpoint.
I would say compared to other guys, I'm pretty clean.
Yeah.
I went into Sean's car today, and he had chicken wings in his car.
Oh, really? That's interesting.
Put Sean on blast.
Wow. Chicken wings.
Yep.
I bet it smelled great in there.
Well, they were in a container, but still.
Alrighty. So when you hang out with people outside of the car scene, do they get what you do for a living, or do you just say, I make car YouTube videos and move on?
It's taken a long time to explain what we do and what we have built and done to regular people who are not car people. Now, I do just say that. I make YouTube video. We have a YouTube channel. We make YouTube videos building cars and trucks, and we also sell parts on our website. That's how I usually say it. But before, when it was like, we have a classifieds platform built for car enthusiasts, we're like the kayak.com. It was like this super long-winded thing. People, I think, get it now with YouTube. Back at the beginning, like YouTubers was like, I don't know, it just wasn't as accepted. Mm-hmm. Now, like kids go to school, like, and they take YouTube classes, or you can go to school to be like a YouTube personality. It's crazy. So like, I just feel like it's so accepted now. But yeah, that's the fastest way to get someone to understand it is like, yeah.
I did not know that was a thing.
Oh yeah.
I don't have children.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on in schools these days. There's really a class.
You ask, not in like elementary school.
No, but I mean in college or.
If you ask kids like, what do you want to be when you grow up? Some of them will say YouTubers.
I've heard that,
sure.
but I didn't realize they were schooling individuals for this.
Yeah.
Like we could teach a class. We could be professors in college.
Yeah, that'd be great. That's actually be pretty fun. That's our retirement right there. Become a professor.
Oh man. I don't want to be that deal with those kids.
The old crusty guy, like, you need to make a better thumbnail.
I don't think I could. Well, I guess maybe I could.
Could be an art school about making thumbnails. For sure.
So you've built a life around passion for this brand. But what's something outside of cars you still want to master or try before you turn 40?
Man, that's a good one. I would say I don't know if you can ever master pickleball, but that's something I'm really into now. I think I want to master and be like the healthiest version of myself.
A black belt in pickleball.
Yeah, no. I mean, man, I don't know if I have. I don't know if I would ever want to be like a pro player.
Is there like a Wimbledon for pickleball?
Oh yeah. It's super popular.
Dang, that's cool. When are you gonna invite me out for some pickleball, dude? I want to try this. I never
even
heard of it.
Really? It's super
I mean,
fun.
I've heard of it. I never really been
it's
to
so
try
much fun. You like playing ping pong?
No.
Okay. Well, that was the segue.
But ping pong was boring for me because I just stand there and do this.
So it's like a mix between ping pong and tennis.
But you run around.
Oh yeah.
So it's like a mid-level tennis / ping pong. So it's like the middle road.
Yeah.
Less running
than
tennis.
Running, correct.
But more movement than ping pong.
Yeah. Yes. Considerably.
But are you still putting English on the ball?
Oh yeah, ton.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I bet you dudes get pretty freaking aggressive.
Some guys are so good. So I have a lot to learn there. But the question is what do I want to master?
Yeah.
Man.
Is there anything that has eluded you to this point that you were man, I really want to be a master at this? It could be model building. It could be anything.
Man, I don't know. I think I just need to be more open-minded to try new things. I think that just in general, you get kind of stuck doing certain things and that's fine. And but as I get more time and things like that, nothing sticks out to me.
Gotcha.
I try to do what I want to do.
Yep.
Within reason.
And that's very
try
important
to focus
too.
on healthy things.
Master your family.
Yeah.
That's pretty important.
Top priority.
That's
for
good.
Sure.
All right. Well, if you could start over with any business, would you pick the same team and business model, or would you go completely out of left field?
Start if I were to start over today,
wipe the slate clean.
Today or back in 2015?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow.
Say you woke up tomorrow, Throttle didn't exist anymore, and you needed to start a business to keep yourself afloat. Would you reach out to existing people that you work with and you work well with, or would you just be like, all right, I got to start from scratch. I need a new team. I need a new model.
No, I mean, look, 100%. I think it depends on what the business model is for sure. I would say that in this day and age, the e-commerce and even the content space, but let's focus on content because that's where I'm more passionate, I would say. Absolutely, I would work with people who we've worked with and developed here at Throttle if the company just disappeared in one day. And in terms of business model or type of business, I would say choosing something that is aligned with a lifestyle of being healthy is where I could see going, only because, you live and breathe whatever you're doing every day for work. And I love cars. And I don't think that will really ever change, but let's just say that it did. What would be the next thing? I want to do something that creates healthy habits that allow me to live a healthier, happier life. I'd like to do that every day. If I could do that 70 hours a week, sure. That's what I would do.
Success follows passion.
Yeah. I think it's so important. Because if we weren't passionate, we would 100% would not be here. We would have given up.
I agree with that.
And really the only way you fail is if you give up. Because if you turn directions or if you change the business or do the 180 or, we've done many 180s in the last 10 years or 90s or whatever you want to call it. But really the only way we would have failed is if we just said, hey, look, we're throwing in the towel. We can't make this work. I mean, there's times where, we were borrowing money to make payroll, right?
Yeah.
So definitely has not been peaches and cream. But there was 50 opportunities to give up and we didn't, and we figured it out. And, we've got a lot of really awesome people that work for us now. And, we've created something really special for sure. And, we just want to share it with as many people as possible. So it goes back to the merch and the builds and the videos, just want to show people what we can do and what's capable.
Well, I think that's happening. We're about to cross 3 million subscribers on YouTube, which is
huge. milestone.
Crazy.
3 million. I think we're at like 2.93 or something. We have 70,000 subscribers to go. And at the clip we're
So
going,
close.
it's like maybe 2 months or so, as long as things progress. And
then we're having a party, baby.
yeah, and it actually coincides with the 10-year anniversary of starting the business. So the business Throttle was formed, I think, October of 2015. So if we hit that by 3 million subscribers by October of 2025, it would be pretty awesome.
Man.
We're also pretty close to 1 million followers on Instagram too.
Wow.
Yeah.
So that's going to be a landmark day or
100%.
month for us.
100%.
Crazy.
Yeah. They don't give a 3 million subscriber plaque out though. We have
I
to
know.
wait, we have to
You
wait
have to get
till
till
10.
10?
10.
I thought it would be 5.
Got a long
So you
way
get
to
you get a
go.
plaque for 100,000,
100,000 subscribers.
1 million
1
subscribers, and then 10.
10.
And it took us how long to get from 1 million to 3? And our growth clip is pretty good.
It's pretty good. I want to say averaging maybe 500,000 subscribers a year, let's just say. So every 2 years is one. So we got a long way to go. Yeah.
Man, I might be dead by then.
Yeah, we'll have to figure out how to do better, man.
Yeah,
We'll have to figure
just
out how to grow
gotta-
faster.
Yeah, increase the growth rate
Yeah.
faster. All right, man. Last question.
Oh, that went quick.
I'm actually kind of sad. This is the last question. It did
Yeah.
go quick. Finish this sentence. You ready?
Yeah.
The car scene is.
Alive and well, baby. Truthfully, though, I don't know. I feel like things are strong. Even with all the EV stuff going on and everything, like when I'd go to events, it's busy.
Yeah.
You know, I think, content is still doing well. There are millions of people consuming content. And Cars and Coffee, like we just had an event a couple weeks ago, popping.
Yeah.
So,
And we were at Fuel Fest this past weekend,
Yeah.
and it was outstanding. The
Good.
amount, the level of car that was there, the amount of people, the amount of Throttle T-shirts I saw walking around was incredible.
Sweet.
So yeah, I tend to agree with you there. You want to try something a little different on this
Sure.
one?
Sure.
Ask me a question?
That's a good one. All right. I got one. This is just kind of a general question, but I think the audience would like to know. Like, what has been your proudest moment at Throttle? Period.
Oh, I don't know that there's one moment. There's been many moments that I've been very proud to the point where I was emotional. But I think for me, the thing I take away from my time here is the impact that I've had on the guys that work out in the shop. And maybe, I don't know if they see it the same way I do, but just the things that I was taught from people that I looked up to that I've been able to pass down to guys like Quinn, who was basically a general mechanic before he started here, and now he's a custom car builder. I was able to teach Ricky a few things on how to build cars as well. And so for me, that is my proudest moment, is being able to sort of hand down the things that I think are so critical to a good car build that comes out of our shop, and pass those on to the next generation of car builders, who I'm hoping will hand that down to the guys that replace me at some point.
Well, let me add to that a little bit. Now think about that, and then think about the millions of people that have watched you, Ricky, Quinn build cars, and think about the impact that you have made to help elevate what people have been trying to do in their garage, right? It's almost immeasurable.
Yeah, I guess I don't know what that looks like. I assume there's many, but like,
I mean, we meet
for me,
them. We
it's
meet
the-
people, right? Like,
Yeah.
So like, yes,
for me, it's the personal touch.
sure.
But yeah, I get that we've got so many eyeballs because of what we've built here that it's almost infinite.
Yeah. I mean, well, people like have come up to you or even me and like been like, you motivated me to do this, to build this. I didn't think I could take on this project, but I did because I watched Throttle. And like that coupled with what you said, because I think there's a lot of, that's awesome. And I think that the progression of everyone as a team collectively is just like improved.
Yeah.
But like I take a step back and I'm like, all right, cool. Think about what we don't know.
Much.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So
And
it's
you know,
cool.
I don't want to sit here and sound like I'm all knowing, and I taught Ricky and Quinn everything they know. I've learned many things from both of those guys
Sure.
as well. So, but the way your question was framed
Yeah.
is more so
Yeah,
what
yeah,
I'm
for
passionate,
sure.
what made me
And I think that's a great answer, and you should be proud. I mean, you should be proud of all of the hard work and the effort that has gone into building everything here. And I'm pretty sure your hands have been on, directly or indirectly, on every single build since we started. And, you know, what I should do is I should tally up how many cars we've built here at Throttle.
I would love to know that number.
I have an idea for like a T-shirt, actually, that's like the list somehow. I think I can get it. It'll take me a little while, but I really want to
kind of
say,
scour through the YouTube channel. I think.
That's probably the best place because we've documented everything.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's
we've got
that is one thing that strikes me once in a while is like in 10, 15, 20 years when I'm retired, because I'm old, I can look back and go relive all of these moments. I mean, what didn't hit the cutting room floor, but
1,200, 1,300 videos at this point. I don't know if you'd want to see some of the stuff that hit the cutting room floor, but
I still have videos from
life,
Rick's garage working on his Porsche that I'm glad never saw the light of day.
Yeah.
But
our lives have been documented. The journey has been documented in the last 10 years pretty well. So I'm thankful for that too, because not a lot of people can say that. Yeah, hey, what have you been up to the last couple years? Oh, hey, check this out.
Hey, when I kick the bucket, I'm gonna have a nice reel.
Yeah. But it is cool, man. Yeah, it's definitely a cool journey. And if you want to relive the journey of Throttle, literally just go back, sort by oldest videos.
Yeah.
Just don't think they're like good, because they're not. The first like 50 or not.
How to paint your brake calipers.
Yeah. Yeah. That was one of
first
the biggest
million
videos.
video we ever did, I think.
Mm-hmm. So started off bad, got slightly better, and that's where we are now. But there's a long way to go. There's a lot more to improve on, but I'm stoked.
We're jamming, baby.
Yeah, no, we're flying. We got a lot of really cool things in the works too, so I can't wait to share all that.
Yeah, me too. Well, thanks, Evan. I appreciate you taking the time to sit down and chat with me here, and hopefully maybe answered some questions that our audience that follows us daily or weekly didn't know.
Yeah, no,
a little bit of the
fun.
backstory on Throttle, which I think we should dive into a little deeper at some point, maybe with all the guys. But
yeah, and I think we'll get Quinn and Ricky on here as well. I like the one-on-one. I think that's pretty good. Or we could do a group thing. I don't know. Figure it out. But
we've got some pretty exciting guests lined up. So if you guys haven't already, hit the subscribe button. And we are available on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube.
Yeah,
man,
there's a couple others
anywhere
as well.
You get your podcast, it is going to be there. So if you haven't already, subscribe to the Full Throttle Podcast, and we'll talk to you guys in the next one.
All right. See ya.